Welcome to this session on Dakshinamurty Stotram. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which lineage this knowledge has been preserved, protected and passed on for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Aditvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Vedanta, as you all know, is giving us a very clear picture of what is the goal of human life. Vedanta means it is the knowledge part in the end of the Vedas, so that's why it's called Vedanta. It also essentially consists of the knowledge of the Upanishads, which tell us that the goal of human life is to know our own self, our own real self, which is the Atman. And this is only possible by understanding this knowledge, which is called the Atma Jnana, and to understand that I, who is this consciousness, is not limited to this body. This consciousness is the same as the eternal consciousness, the omnipresent consciousness, which is called the Brahma. So Atma and Brahma is one and the same, and this is ultimate understanding that we need to reach. And how do we reach to this? There are several ways, there are several scriptures that help us, or Shastras, they help us, they guide us to reach this goal. Of course, we need the help of a guru who is learned, who is enlightened, to show us the path. But then we have to walk on this path to have this spiritual journey, and gradually the changes come and we can ultimately reach to this eventual goal of ours. And this is possible only in this rarely bestowed to us human life. Otherwise, this kind of attainment or achievement is not possible. And we have to be aware all the time so that we don't get carried away by the glitter of this world. And this knowledge in our own self, Atma, Tattva or the consciousness, is something that we can directly experience in our own self. We don't need to rely on others' experience. We don't need to rely on any pramana, any evidence for understanding this experience. This can be directly. It is called the Sakshat Aparoksha Anubhav. We can have it in our own because we are, the life, the consciousness, we are the existence ourselves, and that's why we can actually feel this ourselves. So Dakshinamurty Stotram is a short, compact scripture consisting of 10 mantras or shlokas. It's a very profound stotra of Vedanta. It is written in the form of a poetry so that it can be recited. It can be a recitation of a daily prayer for any human being or any individual. It is written by Adi Shankaracharyaji, and it is one of his most profound scriptures, and that's why it is not generally considered to be a very basic grantha. After reading a few Vedanta granthas, one can read Dakshinamurty Stotra, but the essential goal is the prayer for Moksha to the Dakshinamurty Guru. So Dakshinamurti is a form of Lord Shiva. It is not an incarnate form, but it's essentially a form of Lord Shiva, which is a very, very pleasing form. It's called Saumya Swarupa. It's a very pleasing form of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is considered to be the adiguru, the first guru in the knowledge tradition. All the knowledge starts from Lord Shiva, and this stotra is considered to be the first stotra which Lord passed on the knowledge towards the humanity. And that's why all our Shruti Shastras are called Apaurusheya, because they start from the God. They are not created by humans, they are created by the God themselves. And that's why these Shastras are called Apaurusheya. So Dakshina means south. And here the meaning is Dakshina Mukha. Dakshinamurty Stotra, Lord is facing the southern side. So he is facing the south facing. And it is, in our scriptures, it is generally considered that south is a less inauspicious path, because the southern prayana, the Dakshina Marga prayana, that is the onward journey after life, is not considered to be very auspicious because we have to come back to this mortal world again. Whereas the Uttar Prayana, Shukla Paksh and the Krishna Gati, there are two Gatis, and the north one is considered to be more auspicious. But here for the Lord, when he is facing any side or any direction, there is nothing like auspicious or inauspicious. It is the grace of the Lord that he allows his students to face the north, so they face the auspicious side, whereas Bhagavan Lord Shiva is facing in a Dakshinamurti Swarupa is facing the southern side. He is in a Shambhavi Mudra. Shambhavi Mudra means his eyes are partly closed. That means he is not just aware of the outside, but he is aware of the inside, because this is a journey which we have to go within. And he is sitting in a Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra is also one Mudra. We'll come to that because one of the Shlokas mention about the Chin Mudra. And in the Guru Shishya Parampara, in our lineage, the knowledge flows from above downwards. So it flows from the north to the south, and that is one of the reasons why Bhagavan is facing towards the south direction, because the Shishyas will be sitting at a lower level than the Lord, and that's why the knowledge always flows from above downwards, from the north towards the south. And Dakshinamurti, another meaning is it's a very skillful and a formless form of the God. That is another meaning of Dakshinamurti. And initially there are 5 Dhyana Shlokas. Dhyana Shlokas are generally before any Upanishada or other Shravana, there is a Dhyana Shlokas. They give some perspective of the prayers. And here it is mentioned that Lord Dakshinamurti is giving the sermons, the teachings, the Uddesha in silence. Maunam Vyakhya Prakatikaram. And that is how he finds the knowledge. So we generally, as human beings, we believe that how can you communicate in silence? But Lord can communicate in silence with his Shishyas, with his disciples, and he can pass on this knowledge in silence. So this is the very pleasing form of the Lord Shiva as Dakshinamurti. In the Dhyan Shlokas, it is mentioned that Bhagavana, Lord Dakshinamurti, is sitting under the banyan tree. You can see here that on the backdrop is a mountain, so it's in a very hilly region. And at his feet, there are 4 very elderly Shishyas who already have long beard, are sitting praying to the Lord. And Lord is in a very young, very pleasing form. He's giving Uddesha, giving his teachings with a Chin Mudra, with a Kamala, Mala and Veda in one of his 4 hands. And under his feet there is this demoness called Asmara, who is also holding a knife in her hand. That shows that is the Maya, and how powerful is the Maya, and how we can get across the Maya by sitting on the sitting at the feet of the Lord. That is the only way we can get across this Maya, Samsara, Jagata. And the story here is that these 4 Shishyas are none other than the 4 Rishikumaras, Sanata, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara and Sanata Sujata. They are the 4 Rishikumars who were considered to be the Manas Putra of Brahmaji, the first 4 who were produced from Brahmaji, from his mind as Manas Putra. And they were very Vairagi. They were in search of knowledge. They didn't want to undergo the Grihastha or the householder's life. They didn't want to continue the family. So they all went to the forest to look for the knowledge. But they couldn't find knowledge anywhere. And by that time they had already grown old. And that's when they came to Mount Kailasha. And here they met Dakshinamurti, the form of Lord Shiva, who gave him the sermons. And this is what is the story behind Dakshinamurty Stotram. This was written by Adi Shankaracharyaji about 1200 years ago. And this we start with the first shloka. Vishwam darpana drashyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivo bhutam yatha nidraya yas sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanamevatvayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So this Dakshinamurti Stotra is in the meter called Shardula Vikriditya. And here if you see, the last line is the same for all the first 9 shlokas. For except for the 10th and the final shloka. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. That is the Lord Dakshinamurti to whom we pray. And the first shloka talks about experiencing the world with our consciousness. And it says, it expounds or shows the ultimate Vedanta principles, because Adi Shankara has this beautiful style of mixing the prayer with the profound teachings of Vedanta. He is teaching us that Brahma is Satya, Jagat is Mithya. This is the crux of Vedanta. Brahman is the truth, world is an illusion, and Jiva and Brahma are one. So this is the basis of which this first shloka talks about. So let us understand this a little bit, how we can, a lot of times you have this question, how can Jagat be Mithya? We can see it. How can it be Mithya? Mithya means an illusion. How can the world be an illusion? And this is a very common question that comes to all of us. So our Gurujis and Acharyas explain to us that Mithya or illusion does not mean that the world does not exist. Yes, the world exists, definitely. But the world is not the way that we see it. That is not the real world. It is not the reality of the world. What we see is not the ultimate reality. Because the nature of this world is to keep changing. At any point of time, if you see there are changes going on, it is completely, constantly changing. And something that is constantly changing cannot be the truth. Truth is always the same. Whereas here the world keeps on changing. So it is not the truth, but it is something other than the truth. And in this shloka, it explains to us how it can be an illusion. So illusion essentially means that it is not the way we see it, it is something different. So let us understand this shloka. Vishwam darpana drashyamana nagari tulyam. Means it says that the entire world is like a reflection of a city in the mirror. So it looks like a real world, but it is like a reflection, it is like unreal, it is like a mirage, it is not the reality. Nija antargatam. It is seen or located, or it is seen within our own inner self. Pashyannatmani mayaya bahinivo. But because of Maya, we can see it outside. Though really it is inside, but because of the Maya, we see it outside. So this inside and outside, we make our distinctions based on this body. According to the consciousness, it pervades everything. So there is nothing like inside, outside. But for the understanding, it is said that, it is inside, but it is seen outside due to Maya. And then this is a beautiful style of Adi Shankara to give profound examples to understand these complex, or difficult to understand metaphors. He shows this example of Adbhutam Yatha Nidraya. Just like deep sleep, during the sleep, what happens? So Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaya. So during sleep, what happens is that we go into a dream state, Swapnavastha. And in the Swapnavastha, we may have some dreams. And when we are having the dream, everything looks very real. It looks like, this is the reality. When we are having the dream, we have conversation, we see people, we see even colors, we talk to everyone, and we identify ourselves. There are incidences, a lot of repressed emotions coming up, fears, they're coming out into the dreams. And then when we wake up, we realize that this was a dream. So though it appeared that it is real, but when we wake up, suddenly when we open our eyes, we say, oh, it was not real. It is not the reality. That is what we understand when we wake up. Similarly, here it says, yes, sakshat kurute prabodha samaya. Prabodha samaya could be both. Either in the morning when we wake up, we see that this is not the truth, or prabodha samaya means at enlightenment. When we see the reality that the truth is seen at enlightenment. Sakshat kurute swatmanam mevadvayam means the jiva realizes that the real self is the Atman, and this is non-dual, Advaita. It is Advaita with the Brahman, it is the same, it is the one and the same. Jiva and Brahma are not different, they are one and the same. That is what he realizes, and we realize this only with the help of a Guru. To that Guru, Sri Dakshinamurti, who is also my own Guru, I pray to this, I bow down to Sri Dakshinamurti. So the world, is it a reality or an illusion? This is the question, and our experience is what we base our inference or our understanding on, can be quite misleading. So for example, we experience that the world is flat. When we see the world, it looks flat to us. but we know that the world is not flat, it is round. Similarly, we experience that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This is our common experience, but we know that sun is not moving, it is stationary. It is the world that is moving around the sun, and that's why we feel or we see that the sun is moving and the world is stationary. So everything is relative, everything is according to our own perception. At horizon we see that the sky is meeting the earth, but that is not the reality. We know that the sky and the earth don't meet, and the scriptures tell us that reality is very different from what we experience, and that's why we should try and have an open mind and try to explore what our scriptures, those who have been around for more than 10,000 years and have stood the test of time. They're telling us something that is eternally the truth, and that's why we should try to understand, to know this truth. So let us first try and understand how we experience this world. To understand how the world looks like a reflection, we need to understand how we normally experience this world. What happens is we have Pancha Gnanendriya, the 5 knowledge senses, which get all the knowledge from outside. The Shravanendriya, the Shrotrendriya, the eyes, the ears, the Ghanendriya, the smell, the taste, and the Twagendriya, the touch, the sense of touch. So all these 5 senses, they go out. And the vrittis, of course, it is the vritti which goes out. The vritti is the feeling, or the vritti which travels towards the object. It takes the shape or the knowledge. It grahan karke, it comes back and projects it on the mind. And this projection is in the form of a reflection of what is there, and it is reflection based on our own previous sanskaras of raga, dvesha also. And this is illuminated by our consciousness. So consciousness, our Atman, illuminates all this knowledge, and this may be different knowledge by different senses, but then it gives us a very seamless experience, combining the vision, the touch, the feel, the sense of the hearing, everything, and this then produces a kind of a knowledge in our mind. The conventional perspective is that the world exists, and therefore we experience through our eyes or our ears, whatever that is called the Srushti Drashti Vada. But our Vedanta tells us that actually it is the Drashti Srushti Vada, means that the creation exists because we see it. The way we see it, the creation exists, means Jaisi Drashti, aisi Srushti. It is a very common thing that we talk in routine life, that the way, Jaisi Drashti, vaisi Srushti means that however we see, we perceive the world. Everybody has their own way of seeing, everybody has a different vision, and this is also one of the important principles of Vedanta. So let us try and understand what Vedanta talks about and what examples it gives to make us understand this. One of the Vadas is called the Bimba Pratibimba Vada. Bimba is the Mulbhut Chaitanya, and Pratibimba is the reflection of these Chaitanya in the different pots that is placed. So one of the pot, you can consider it as one of the Jiva, or one of the being that shows the reflection. The pot, the Ghata, is the body. The water inside is the small Sukshma, it is more Sukshma Sharira, and then there is a mind, and then there is a reflection of the sun on this Antakarana or the mind, and this produces an image, and this is the Jiva. So it looks like that the one sun reflects as many different images. Now this also, corollary of the sun, helps us to understand the different forms of divinity. The light of the form of the sun is the Brahma Swarupa, its unseen form, whereas when we see the sun with all its radiance and the light emanating from it, it can be seen as the Ishvara Swarupa, and the reflected form in different vessels is called the Jiva, and this vessel, the pot or the Ghata, is the Stula Deha or the Jagata, and most of all these pots together form the Jagata, and water in some vessel is the Sukshma Sharira, and on a samashti level, on a universal level, it becomes a Sukshma Jagata also. So the Ghata plus the water plus the reflection forms the Jiva, because the Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the Chaitanya, reflection of the Chaitanya, forms the Jiva. So Jiva is the Sanghata of all this. And there are many, many vessels, many, many reflections, many, many Jivas, all these things, everything forms the Jagata. So this is how we can understand our own self. To understand our own self, we have to go a step away, because our identification is very strong with our body. We need to understand that we are first not this body, and this I have to understand by seeing that this is mine. I say this is my body, I and my body have to be different. And anything that is seen, drashtvat, whatever can be seen, cannot be me, because I am the seer, I am not the seen. And that's why whatever I can see, for example, I can see my body very well, I can see it in the mirror, I can see it, and that's why I cannot be the body. With this understanding, we can come out of this attachment that I am my body. Next attachment is it to our mind, which is also very strong. And this also we need to understand that I can see my thoughts, I can witness my thoughts, I am not my mind, I and my thoughts are different. With this understanding, with this, we have to get out of this attachment that I am the mind. Similarly, I am not my intellect, I am not my prana, I am not just the reflected light, but I am the omnipresent light. I am not this pratibimba, but I am the bimba bhuta chaitanya. I am the omnipresent inside and outside forms. This is the understanding that the jiva, jagata and Ishvara, all they look very different, but the basis, the reality of each of these, the adhisthana, the chaitanya, all this is one and the one. So there is no difference between all this, and this Brahma Tattva is already present, omnipresent, unseen. We need to know this. It is already there, but the difference is that if we know it, it becomes the jnana, and this jnana can help us to develop moksha or freedom from all the miseries. Now this concept of the third eye is also very important to understand. We have our dream eyes with which we see the dreams. These are called the antar chakshu or the swapna netra, with which we see the dreams. And this at that point of time looks like the reality. But when we open our normal worldly eyes, the jagrata netra, then we see the world, and these dream eyes, they fall off, we cannot see. And then we see the world, which is also because of the Maya Shakti. And then when a person becomes enlightened, then his third eye opens, that is the knowledge eye or the Gnana Netra, with which he will see the truth, and the Jagata, the worldly eyes, they become Bada, means they are not existent now, and that person realizes, knows the truth, Sakshatkara, and this can be done only achieved with the spiritual journey, sadhana, the sadhan chatushya sampatti as the first step, and then the Gnana sadhana, Shravana, Manan, Nididhyasana, with the help of Shastra, Guru and Ishvara, to reach to this ultimate jnana. So let us come to the second shloka. Bijasyantarivankuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri krutam maya viva vijrumbhayatyapi maha yogi vayasvechaya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namatidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So this shloka talks about the creator and the creation. What was the world before it was created? How was it? And it says Bijasyanta Rivang Ankuraha Jagadidam Jagada Prang Nirvikalpam Puna. So before this sprout of the world was created, the world was in the form of a bija, nirvikalpa. So that is an undifferentiated seed. So there was a seed, unmanifest, and then the manifest is created. So that is what our Shastras tell us. From Brahma, initially the Ishvara comes, and from the Ishvara the Jagata is created through the Panch Mahabhuta and the Panchikarana. The entire process has been very well described, how the universe is created in our Shastras. So here again the same thing is understood. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. Due to Maya, we can see all these Vaichitra Chitra Krutam, all the world which is seen with many different forms and colors. Desha kala kalana means everything is relative to time and space. And this is because of the Maya Shakti. Maya Viva, but the one who wields this Maya, Mayavi, that magician, Eva, just like a magician, Vijrumbhya. Vijrumbhya means expands his universe. Vijrumbhya actually means yawning, but yawning means expanding this universe. Like a Mahayogi. Mahayogi means with all great powers, Yasvechaya, with his own will. God can do anything at his own will, and his will is always for the benefit of the mankind. It is not selfish, it is always selfless. And that is what this shloka tells us, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam. So to this Lord who wields this kind of Maya like a magician by his own will and makes us, come into creation. So all the jivas are into creation of different forms, colors and everything related to time, space because of these Maya Shakti. To this Lord, Sri Dakshinamurti, I pray to, is also in the form of the Guru. Yasyaiva sfuranam sadatmakam asat kalparthakam bhasate sakshat tattvamasiti veda vachasa yo bodhayatyashritam yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punara vrittir bhavam bho nidhau tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. So this shloka tells us about the Tattva, which is the only Spurana, which is the Chitta part of the Tattva, and how it is just one and everything happens, all the Spurana happens because of the Tattva. So Yasyaiva Spuranam, the one who manifests everything, all the manifestation, existence comes into being because of this Spurana, this Tattva. Sat, Asat, everything, truth and the illusion, everything is known. Bhasate, Kalpa, Arthakam, Bhasate, everything in this world is known by this one Tattva. Sakshat Tattvamasi iti Veda Vachasa. So Veda always tells us, this gives us this Uddesha that Tattvamasi, Tattvam Asi, you and him are the same, or I am that, Ishvara. So Jiva and Ishvara are the same, that is the Bodh that Veda always gives us, that is the crux or the Tatparya of the Veda. Yo Bodha Yatya Ashritan. And this Bodha is given, taught to one who surrenders to the Guru. Without surrender to the Guru, without learning from the Upanishads, we cannot understand this, how I and the Lord are the same. Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhavenna Punaravrittir Bhavam Bhonidau. By direct experience of this knowledge, the delusion of being tossed, Punaravritti, coming back again to this mortal world, will not appear again. That is the ultimate Shruti, or that is the ultimate goal, or that is the ultimate fruits of this knowledge that we have. And I bow down to this Dakshinamurti, Sri Dakshinamurti, who teaches me, who is in the form of my teacher, who shows me that the Jiva and the Ishvara are the one, who shows me that only one manifests in every different way, and this only the Guru can give me this kind of a message. To this Guru I bow down. Fourth mantra. Nana Chitra Gatodara Stita Maha Deepa Prabha Bhaswaram Gnanam Yasya Tu Chakshuradikarana Dvara Bahi Spandate Janamiti Tameva Bhantam Anubha Yetat Samastam Jagata Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. So again, this shows us how one illuminates the many. Nana Chidra Gatodara Sthita Mahadeepa Prabha Bhaswaram. Just as a lighted lamp which is placed in a pot, having many holes, it will show all the different lights coming out from these different holes. Jnanam yasyatu chakshuradikarana bahispandate. So it is the same way that illuminated by the same knowledge through different sense organs. So what happens is there are different sense organs and there are several types of vritti jnana of the objects of the knowledge that we encounter through this indriya, and all these, it is illuminated by the same single consciousness. So one illuminates the many. Janami iti tameva bhanta manubhat yetat samastam jagata. So this consciousness is the only one which shines as I know, because it is the one through which we know everything. Because of this entire creation appears. Tameva bhanta anubhati sarva means thereafter, after all these, that because of this consciousness everything is known by this consciousness. So that is the meaning of this. And the one Guru who shows me this light, that this is the light, this is the consciousness through which everything is known, all the world is known, to that Sri Dakshinamurti I bow down to you as my own teacher. So, Guruji explains in the way that there are several appliances that run on electricity. Electricity is one energy on which bulbs, fans, ACs, computers, machines, everything works. And when one lamp is placed inside, several different forms of light emerges from this. So this is how the one produces or manifests as many. However, our drashti, our vision should be on that one behind the many, so that we can see that something that is not easily seen. The fifth mantra. Deham pranam apindriyanya pichalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu stri balandha jadopamahtvahamiti dranta prusham vadinaha maya shakti vilasa kalpitamaha vyamoha samharine tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So in this shloka, the Guru, who is a remover of the ignorance, is described how people who have illusions, they are Bhranta Viduhu, people who have Bhrantis, lot of illusions. What is their belief? What is their understanding? Their understanding is that I am the body. They may think that I am the body. Majority of the people identify themselves with the body. They may feel that I am the prana, I am the senses, I am the intellect, or I am the chalam, shunyam. Shunyam means void. Is the knower, it is the self, or it is Atman. It is through this that we know everything. That is the Atman. Stri balanda jadopa mahtu amiti dhanta pusham vaduna. So people like lady who have some sort of moha, or in the ancient times, lady of the house did not used to go to get this guru, to this knowledge, and that's why they may not be able to understand this. That's why it is said, child who is innocent, blind people who are blind and cannot see what is the reality, people who are dull-headed, jada, those who are deluded, those who have moha. And these are all the people who keep vehemently arguing, Rusham Vadinaha. They keep vehemently asserting themselves that why, how can I be the Atma, how can I be the consciousness, I am this body, I am this prana, I am the senses. And this, why it appears like this? Because this is because of the Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha Samharine. So one, Guru is the one who destroys this great delusion, Maha Vyamoha. The great delusion born out of the powers of Maya Shakti Vilasa, the projection which is done because of these Maya powers. And this is the only job of the Guru who can reveal me this truth, that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this senses, I am not this intellect, I am not this prana, I am Sarvavyapak Shuddha Chaitanya, I am the Atma. And this is the Guru to whom I go down, is Sri Dakshinamurty, who is also in the form of my Guru. Sixth shloka or the mantra. Rahu grasta divakarendu sadrusho maya samachhadanat sanmatra karanopasambharanato yo butsushukta kuman raga swapsamiti prabodha samaye yah pratyabhignayate tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. So consciousness is present in the deep sleep, Sushupti Avastha. That is what the shloka or mantra tells us. Rahu, and it gives an example of Rahu. It's an eclipse. Rahu grasta divakarendu sadrusho maya samachhadana. Just as during the eclipse, the sun is hidden by the moon. In the ancient times, it was thought that the Rahu and the Ketu are the two grahas which form the head and the tail, and they are the ones that obscure the sun and the moon when the eclipse happens. Similarly, Maya comes in the way and hides the Atman. Sanmatra karanopa samharanato yo buddh sushupta kuman. So in Sushupti Avastha, when we are in deep sleep, all the senses, karano upasamharate, means all the senses are at rest. The Sthula Sharira, our body, the Sukshma Sharira, our mind, our buddhi, everything is at rest when we are in deep sleep. There is nothing which is active. So here the Jiva comes very close to the Atman or the consciousness. But there is a veil of ignorance, a blanket of ignorance, Tama, is there always. The example that is given is, suppose we are in the middle of the night, it's very dark, and we, our eyes are open but we can't see. Even if we put a blanket on us, the eyes are open, we can't see. So this is what it is. So the eyes are still open, the consciousness is still there. In deep sleep, the consciousness does not go away, because when we wake up, we realize, when the Jiva Praga Swapsamiti Prabodha Samaya, when the Jiva wakes up, he recognizes that yes, I was the same person who was in deep sleep. I had a wonderful sleep, though I don't remember at that time, I had no idea at that time, but now I know that I had a wonderful sleep. I was very well asleep, I had a very nice sleep, I had a wonderful time, I had a great happiness, very happy. So this he realizes, he recognizes, that is called Pratyabhignayate. He knows that he is the same person who had this sleep. I can experience that I am the same person who had this sleep. Say for example, when we look at our picture when we were a kid, and we say, oh okay, this was me, I was the same person, though my body is very different, my mind is different, everything, my intellect is different, but I am the same person. So that is what I recognize myself, Pratyabhignayate, that he was the same person. So this Guru, who shows me this, that I am the same behind all the different changes that happen in my life, I am the same consciousness. I go down to that Sri Dakshinamurti, who is in the form of my teacher. The example that is also given in our Shastras is that how the clouds, they hide the sun. In a stotra called Hastamalaka Stotra, there is this Ganachanda Drashti, Ganachanda Markam. How the clouds, they hide the sun, and we have an illusion that the clouds are hiding the sun. But actually, do we ask ourselves that really can really the clouds hide the sun? Clouds are seen because of the sun. It's only because of the sun that clouds are seen. In the night, in the dark pitch sky, we won't be able to see the clouds because of the darkness. So the clouds are seen because of the sun. The sun cannot be hidden by the clouds. Again, also, the clouds are very small in size in comparison to the vast sun. So the clouds can never hide the sun. It is only, it hides our own drashti, our own vision is hidden. And that's why we feel that the clouds are hiding the sun. But it's actually, it is an illusion that the clouds are hiding the sun. This is the vision that our Vedanta gives us. Balyatishvapi jagratadishu tatha sarvasvavasthasvapi vyavrittan svanu avartamanamahamityantah sfurantam sada swatmanam prakatikaroti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya tasmai shri guru murtaye namahidam Shri Dakshina Mukha. So in this Shloka it tells us that behind all the different states and experiences of life, our self that recognizes this experience is one. Balyadishvapi jagradadishu tatha sarvasvavasthasvapi. Means we in all the stages of life, like childhood, adulthood, old age, or behind the waking stage, the sleep stage, or the dream stage, behind all these stages, Vyavruttana, these stages keep changing. One goes away, the other comes, another goes away, the third one comes. But behind all these different changing states, Anuvartamana, Aham Ityanta, Sfurantam Sada. I am the unchanging, constant one which illuminates all these states. So all these states are illuminated by my consciousness, and this remains the same behind all the states which keep changing in front of me. Because all these states are the life stages or the body stages which keep changing according to its own nature. Swatmanam prakati karoti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya. Who, the one Guru who reveals this to me, to his devotees, this by his auspicious gesture. Bhadra mudra. Bhadra means very auspicious gesture. Mudra means a gesture. It's and here it is called the wisdom, the knowledge gesture, which is also called the Chin Mudra. So with this Chin Mudra, Bhagavan is giving the message to the devotees, to his students. And to the same Guru, I go down to this Sri Dakshinamurti, who is also in the form of my teacher. And this Chin Mudra, it's very important to understand, it is also the Chit Mudra. So it is basically the consciousness. Chit means consciousness. So it teaches us the power of the Vedanta with one mudra. And it is said that Lord Shiva, as the Dakshinamurti, gave his knowledge in silence. And it is said that it is through this Gnana Mudra, this Chin Mudra, that he gave this knowledge to his disciples. So let us understand how with this mudra you can give the knowledge of Vedanta to the disciples, how Lord Shiva did that as a Dakshinamurti. So it is important that we have 5 fingers and how it denotes, what it denotes. Now this denotes the Jiva, and this is the Adhisthana. The thumb is the Adhisthana, that is it's a foundation of the hand, and that's why it is Adhisthana, that is a Brahma or the Ishvara. So out of the Jiv we have 4 different parts. One is the consciousness, the Atma. The second, third and fourth are the Sharira, Mana and Buddhi. Or it could be the 3 states of our mind, like the Jagrata Avastha, the waking stage, the sleep Avastha, that is the Sushupti Avastha, deep sleep, and the dream state, the Swapna Avastha. Or this could be considered as the Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira. So that is the gross body, the subtle body and the causal body. So these are the 3 parts of the Jiva. But these are all considered Jada. This is the only Chetana, the consciousness. So this is the Atma, and these 3 are called the Anatma. So the first step of Vedanta is that these 3, Anatma and the Atma, must be separated. We must understand that we are not this group of everything mixed, but we are the Atma Tattva, we are the consciousness, and we have to separate these from the Anatma. So Atma, Anatma, Viveka is the first step which helps us to separate the Atma from the Anatma. And then the second step is that the consciousness, the Jiv part of the consciousness, has to come close to the Ishvara, Brahma part, because that is the only way you can see that it goes away from this Anatma or the body identification, mind identification, and this is how it merges. So when it merges with Brahma, then one can see that there is the 0 O, that is the Purnatva. We can see the Purna in the the circle, the sphere, the whole circle, and this means that when Jiva and the Brahma it is a Purna. In that shloka of the Shanti mantra also, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. So this also makes us understand that we are Purna. Not only I am Purna, but the Brahma is Purna, the entire Jagata is also Purna, everything is Purna. And this is possible only when the Jiva knows that he and Ishvara are the one and the same. When it touches the Ishvara, understands that the Jiva Brahma is same, and it understands his own Purnatva, and this is the relief of all the miseries of our life. So this is the understanding, the knowledge which can be passed on, which was passed on by Lord Shiva as Dakshinamurti in the Chin Mudra to his disciples. Vishvam pashyati karya karanataya swaswami sambandhataha shishyacharya tathaiva pitru putradhyatmana bhedataha swapne jagrati vaya esha purusho maya paribhramitaha tasmai shri guru murtaye nama idam shri Dakshinamurtaye. So in this 8th mantra, it gives us a vision of the Brahmagnani, and one is Ajnani also. What is his vision? And the Brahmagnani, the Gnani, knows that the same divinity manifests in all the forms. Vishwam pashyati bhedataha. So one who is not a Gnani, he is Ajnani, who sees this world with lots of differences like Karya Karanataya, Bheda between Karya and the Karana. He always sees, because in Vedanta there is this beautiful example of Mati and the Ghada, the clay and the pot. Though the pot or the Ghada comes from the clay, we see that they both are different, but Vedanta tells us that there is no difference between the Karya and the Karana, they are one and the same. Within the pot, everywhere there is Mati, there is nothing except Mati in the pot. It's only because of the shape that we call it a pot. It is we who call it a pot, but essentially it is all Mati, it is all Karana. So Karana is in the Karya in every form, and that is how we have to understand that the Ishvara is the Karana, Jagata is the Karya, and in the Jagata everywhere we can see the Karana or the Ishvara everywhere. So that is how we can see the Sarvatma Ishvara Bhav. But most of us cannot see this. We only see the world as it is seen, rather than the manifestation of the Lord. Swaswami Sambandhataha. So we understand that me as a devotee or a seeker is very different from the Lord. We always have these differences between between the devotee and the Lord. Shishya and Acharya, again, also we believe that disciple and teacher also have differences. Pitru and Putra, so father and the son are also different, and these are all the normal differences that we see in our life. It is very normal because this is how we have related to each other always. But our Shastras tell us that this is not the reality. The reality is that behind this, all these Vyavharit Jagata or these names, that Sambandha, relationships that we call, behind this, at the root, the reality, the Atma Tattva is the same in all this, and that's why there is no differences. And Swapne Jagrati Vaya Esha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha, on waking or on realization, one realizes that all these illusions, these differences are projected because of the Maya. But when we come to realize the truth, that the Adhisthana, the truth that is behind this is one and the same, when all these differences, to this Guru who shows me this, that there is one Tattva which is behind everything, the Jeev, Jagat and the Ishvara, to this Guru Dakshinamurty, who is also in the form of my Guru, I pray down. Bhuram bhansana loni lombara mahar nartho himanshu human itya bhati characharatmakamidam yasyaiva murtyashthakam nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam yasmat parasmat vibhoho tasmai shri guru murtaye nama idam Shri Dakshina Mukha. So in this ninth mantra, Brahma is the truth, it is Satya, and Jagat, Jiva, Ishvara, everything is Mithya because it is form of Upadhi. It shows us the Ashtamurti form of the Lord, the form of the Jagata. Guhu, Ambasi, Anala, Anila, Ambara, the five great elements, the Pancha Mahabhuta. Guhu is earth, Ambasi is water, Anala is fire, Anila is wind, Ambara is space. Ahar Nartha. Aha means day, and the Natha, the Lord of the daytime, is the sun. Hima, Himanshu. Hima means cold, Shitala. Ansha means rays. So that is the moon. And Puman. Puman here is not just a human being, it stands for consciousness. So these three great elements, Pancha Mahabhuta and the three, sun, moon and the consciousness, these 8 elements, they form the Ashtamurti of the Lord, whose eightfold manifestation, this Ashtamurti, it's the manifestation of the Chara and the Achara Jagata. So this is how we relate to the sentient and the insentient world. Nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam yasmat parasmat vibhoho. So for a person who is thinker, who is a viveki, vibhrushatam, who keeps thinking, so for this person, Nanyat kinchana vidyate, there is nothing else in this world except parasmat vibhoho, except the Lord. World comes to an end. For him, everything is the Lord. Everything that we see in the world is the Ashtamurti of the Lord. The sun and the moon are the eyes of the Lord. All the stars and the planets are like the jewels of the Lord. And everything looks like the body of the Lord. The entire space between the earth and the heaven looks like the body of the Lord. The Prithvi, the entire world looks like the feet of the Lord. That is how we can, that is a vision that sees the Saguna Sakara Murti of Bhagwan, the Ashta Murti of Bhagwan in the place of the world. That is the vision that the Jnani Purush has. And to this Lord, who appears as the world itself, I pray down to this Lord Shri Dakshinamurti, who is also in the form of my Guru. Last mantra. Sarvatmatvamiti sfuti krutamidam yasmadamushmin stvave tenasya shravana tadartha manana dhyanascha sankirtana sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam syadishwaratvam swataha siddhaye tat punarashtadha parinatam Jaishwaryam avyahatam. So last mantra talks about the benefit or the falashruti of this Dakshinamurti Stotra and how we can assimilate this knowledge in our life so that it can become useful to us. Any knowledge is useful only if we use it in our lifetime. And that's why it's said Sarvatmatva iti Sfuti Krutamidam, because the self is all pervasive. That is the Sarvatma Buddhi that we develop is clearly revealed in this chants of this hymn. Amushmin Swave, it is very clear that the Sarvatma, it is Sfuti Krutamidam, it is everywhere, it is all pervasive, the self or the Atmana. And how we can know this? Tenasya Shravanat Tadartha Mananat Dhyanast Cha Sankirtanat. So by Shravana means listening to this Vedanta Vakya from Guru Mukha, that is Shravana, reflecting upon it, Manana, doing some reflections, removing our doubts. Dhyanat means meditating, doing Nididhyasana, the Vedantic type of meditation, so that our Purva Sanskaras are changed. And Sankirtanat, reciting this stotra again and again. So this is how we can understand this Sarvatmatva Bhava, that everything is the same. Bhagavan is Sarva Vyapaka, Brahma is Sarva Vyapaka, Mahavibhuti Sahitam Syat Ishwaratvam Swataha. One can gain enlightenment by this knowledge, which is effortless and without any obstacles or impediments. And Siddhi etat punah ashtata siddhi parinitam cha aishwaram avyahatam. So with these great glories, the Aishwarya Param Siddhi of being the self of all, the knower, the Ujagara, or the consciousness of all, and we may also get these Ashta Siddhi, like the eightfold blessings or the eightfold powers, that Ashta Siddhi that is available during the Siddha, the Yoga Siddhi. So to summarize, Dakshinamurty Stotra is a very beautiful compilation of 10 shlokas by Adi Shankara. It is the first shloka, the Vishwam Darpana Drashyamana Nagri, tells us about how we can see this, the world as an illusion, how we can see the Satya, Brahma as a Satya behind all this that we experience. We also saw how we experience the world by our senses, and how we can see the Bimba Pratibimba not just as a reflection but as a Bimba Bhuta Chaitanya. And the second shloka, the Bijasyanta Rivankuro, talks about the creation of this universe, how it is created from unmanifest as a seed, and then it becomes manifest, and then wherever there is laya, dissolution, also it becomes unmanifest. So this is the entire cycle that goes on, and this is what it explains us. The third shloka, Yasyaiva Sfuranam Sadatmakam Asat, explains to us about how we are non-separate from our Lord. There is only one Spurana, there is just one Tattva which manifests everything, and this is what we need to understand. The fourth shloka, Nana Chidra Gatodara Sthita Maha, tells us that consciousness is the only one that shines, and it is because of this consciousness that all these different knowledge from our different sense organs, we realize how one illuminates as many, and how we can see the one behind the many. And we took the example of all different electrical appliances. The fifth shloka was Deham Pranaba Indriyanya Pichalam. That means that a lot of people who are illusioned, they think that they are the Deha, Prana, Mana, Buddhi, Indriya, but essentially we are all consciousness. The sixth shloka talked about Rahu Grasta Divakarendu Sadrusho, how in Sushupti Avastha, in the deep sleep, there is the Avran of Rahu as a eclipse. Or we also saw how the clouds can, they can hide the sun and create an illusion for us. But essentially, we are very close to the Atman during the deep sleep, but there is a layer of ignorance already there. The seventh shloka talked about Balyadishvapi Jagradadishu Tatha. That means we are the consciousness behind all these different states of childhood, adulthood, about the waking state, the sleeping state, behind all these different states which keep changing in front of us. We are the unchanging self behind all this. And this Lord Shiva, as Dakshinamurti is explained to us with the Chin Mudra, with a single Mudra, explains all the concepts of Vedanta, the Jiva, Brahma, Aikya, the Purnatva, the Atma, Anatma, Viveka, everything. The 8th shloka talks about the Vishwam Pashyati Karya Karanayata. So, how most of us, we see this world with differences, but the Brahmagnani, he doesn't see the differences in this world. He sees that the basis, the reality of all these differences, like Karya, Karana, Swaswami Sambandha, Shishya, Acharya, Pitra, Putra, Pita. All these differences are, vyavharik, and behind this everything is the same. The ninth shloka talked about the Bhuram Bansanalo Nilam Varamhar. That is the Ashtamurti, how we can see the Lord in this world as the Ashtamurti and everywhere part of the existence, because Ishvara is the Abhinna Nimitta and the Upadana Karana of this world, and we can see Him, God, as not just the creator of the creation, but is also part of the creation as He is already there, and that's how we can see this as the Ashtamurti of the Lord. In the final shloka, the Sarvatmattvamiti Smriti Krutamidam, the 10th shloka talks about the benefits of the study of these Dakshinamurty Stotra, the Phalashruti, and how we can assimilate this knowledge in our life, that everything, the self is all pervasive, it is Sarvavyapaka, Jeev and the Brahma is one, and with this understanding, with this enlightenment, we can achieve and we can see the entire glory, and we can get relief from all the cycles of birth and death, and can get moksha. And before that, sometimes we can even get the Ashtasiddhi as a benefit of the Phalashruti of these Dakshinamurty Stotra. So that is the crux of the message of the Vedanta, which is the Jiva and the Brahma is the same, and the Brahma is Satya and Jagat is Mithya. The Brahma is, or the Atma is the Sat, Chit and the Ananda Swarupa of our self, which illuminates, with which we know everything, and this consciousness is the part of our own being. That is what is the crux of this message of this Dakshinamurty Stotra. With this, thank you. So with this we come to the end of the Dakshinamurty Stotra. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.